biology of plants. In today's video, we will be looking at mineral nutrition in plants. Now, what are mineral nutrients? Mineral nutrients are elements available in the soil in the form of inorganic ions. These ions are required for various biological processes and they are translocated within the body through the phloem. From the soil, mineral nutrients are taken up by the roots. As one is familiar, plants are autotrophic organisms and they play an important role in the process of nutrient cycling, wherein these mineral nutrients are recycled back to the soil. Among the different elements found in the environment, only certain elements are considered to be essential. This essentiality is determined by three criteria, the first of which is that without these elements, the plants will be unable to complete their life cycle. The second criterion is that the element must be a constituent of a plant metabolite or a component. For example, magnesium is an important component of the chlorophyll molecule. The third criterion is that these elements cannot be substituted within the plant. That is, the function a particular element is responsible for will not occur in the absence of that element. Based on these criteria, a group of 17 elements have been classified as essential elements. Among these, some are required in relatively large quantities and they are called as macronutrients. These macronutrients are majorly involved in important physiological processes. This group includes carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium and sulfur. Of course, carbon, hydrogen and oxygen will not be covered under mineral nutrition since they are obtained from water and carbon dioxide. The other group of essential elements which are required in smaller quantities are called as micronutrients and they play regulatory and catalytic roles as cofactors and enzyme activators. This group includes chlorine, boron, iron, manganese, zinc, copper, nickel and molybdenum. We will be covering macronutrients in this video. For each element, we will be looking at its role in the plants and then the deficiency symptoms. Now, deficiency symptoms depend on two factors. One, its role in plants, and two, its ability to be mobilized from old leaves to young leaves. This mobility depends on the solubility of the element and how easily it can enter into the sieve tubes of the phloem. A more mobile element can be readily transferred from one part of the plant to the other, mostly from older leaves to young and developing leaves. The first macronutrient is nitrogen. Nitrogen is one of the most important elements required by plants. They are abundantly found in the atmosphere as nitrogen gas, but the plants cannot take up nitrogen gas as such and therefore they need to be fixed. And this fixation process results in the formation of nitrate or ammonium ion, which are forms that can be easily taken up by the plants. Now, nitrogen fixation is in itself a very big topic which we will cover later. But it is important to know that this process happens with the help of certain bacteria called nitrogen fixing bacteria. Because of its relatively high demand and less availability, nitrogen is one of the most limiting nutrients in the soil. Now, coming to its role in plants, nitrogen is a constituent of amino acids, proteins, nucleic acids and chlorophyll, and we know the importance of these molecules within the plant body. Additionally, they are also a component of plant hormones like auxins and cytokinins. Nitrogen is a mobile element and therefore when there is a deficiency, nitrogen from older leaves are mobilized to younger leaves and therefore the symptoms first appear in old leaves. Since it is a part of growth hormone auxin, nitrogen deficiency also inhibits growth, resulting in stunted growth. Deficiency symptoms also include a general chlorosis which begins in older leaves, and under severe deficiency conditions, leaves turn completely yellow and fall off the plant. Anthocyanin pigment accumulates within the plant leading to purple coloration in leaves, petioles and stems. Also, it is interesting to note that an excess of nitrogen results in preferential growth of shoots over roots and delays the onset of flowering. The next essential element is phosphorus, and this element is available in different forms of phosphoric acid. In the soil, phosphorus is found as insoluble complexes and are found bound to organic compounds. Because of this reason, phosphorus is also a limiting element in the soil and they are not readily available for uptake. Similar to nitrogen fixation, unavailable phosphorus is made available to the plants by a group of fungi called mycorrhizae which form symbiotic relationship with plants. Phosphorus is primarily a component of tissue molecules like nucleotides, phospholipids in the membrane and energy molecules ATP and ADP. They are also required as sugar phosphates which are involved in the process of photosynthesis. Like nitrogen, phosphorus is also mobile and the symptoms first appear in the older leaves. The most defining symptom is the dark green coloration of leaves coupled with accumulation of anthocyanin pigments. Under severe deficiency conditions, necrotic spots appear on the leaves and they also get malformed. Phosphorus deficiency results in poor yield of fruits and flowers, and in some cases plants develop short and slender stems. In contrast to nitrogen, excess of phosphorus results in preferential growth of roots over shoots. Potassium is found in soil as potassium ions, and they are soluble and readily available in the soil. A very important function of potassium is the regulation of osmotic potential in the cell, which is responsible for the opening and closing of stomatal pores and also helps in maintaining turgor pressure within the cell. It also acts as an activator of enzymes involved in photosynthesis and respiration. Potassium, being a mobile element as well, results in symptoms first seen in older leaves. Chlorosis and mottling occurs in the leaves, and along the margins necrotic spots develop. The stems are shortened and weakened, and the roots become vulnerable to root-rotting fungi, leading to lodging. If you're unfamiliar with lodging, when the plants are not anchored to the soil because of a rotten root system, the stems bend at ground level, resulting in lodging. Calcium is found abundantly in the soil in the form of calcium ions. Calcium plays a very important role in maintaining the integrity of the plant cell. It is also a constituent of the middle lamella of cell walls in the form of calcium pectate. It is required as a cofactor by some enzymes involved in the hydrolysis of ATP and phospholipids, and it acts as a second messenger in metabolic and genetic regulation. Very importantly, they are involved in the formation of mitotic spindle during cell division. Calcium is immobile, and therefore the symptoms first appear in young leaves. Also, because calcium is an integral part of cell division, symptoms appear in meristematic regions and young leaves become deformed, and consequently growth is stunted. Magnesium is taken up by plants as divalent cations. It is required by plants in large quantities for various physiological functions. But in soils, magnesium is not readily available for uptake, and they often become a limiting nutrient. Magnesium forms an integral component of the tetrapyrrole chlorophyll molecule, where it is involved in light absorption during photosynthesis. They also play a role in stabilizing the structure of ribosomes, thereby indirectly involved in protein synthesis. They also act as cofactors and activators of more than 300 enzymes, particularly those involved in carbon fixation, for example, rubisco and PEP carboxylase, and those reactions that involve the energy molecule ATP. Magnesium is mobile, and therefore deficiency symptoms appear in older leaves. The most noticeable symptom is the chlorosis in leaf lamina due to the breakdown of chlorophyll molecule. But it is surprising to know that the chlorophyll in the veins is less susceptible to magnesium deficiency when compared to the chlorophyll in the lamina, and therefore the veins remain green, as you can see in the picture. Overall growth of the plant is also affected, and under severe deficiency conditions, entire leaves may fall off due to premature leaf abscission. Sulfur is another essential macronutrient which is taken up by the plant as sulfate ions. Although some part of the sulfur in soils is bound to organic matter, it is rarely a limiting element because there are other sources that enrich the soil with assimilable sulfur forms. For example, industrial runoff and fumes result in sulfur dioxide in the rain, which when dissolved in rain fall back to the soil. Sulfur is a constituent of amino acids such as methionine and cysteine, glutathione, vitamins like biotin and thiamine, phytochelatins, chlorophyll, coenzyme A. Sulfur is also involved in disulfide bond formation in proteins and enzyme regulation, particularly ferredoxin, which is involved in redox control. Sulfur is also an important component of certain secondary metabolites, particularly thiocyanates and isothiocyanates, produced by plants belonging to the family Brassicaceae. These compounds are responsible for the pungent flavors characteristic of this family. Sulfur is immobile, and therefore the symptoms first appear in younger leaves. Also, it's interesting to know that the deficiency symptoms of sulfur is similar to that of nitrogen deficiency. That is, the leaves become pale yellow or light green. Plants deficient in sulfur are small and spindly with short and slender stalks, and their growth is retarded. The pigment anthocyanin accumulates in the plant, leading to purple coloration of leaf stalks and petioles. And with this, we conclude this video about macronutrients. I will see you all in the next video where we will discuss about micronutrients and their deficiency symptoms. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. Like, share and subscribe if you like the content, and comment if you would like the presentation for studying at your own pace.